Betty and Barney Hill experience time loss and night terrors without any explanation as to what it might mean. A new play, based on the book by John G. Fuller, The Interrupted Journey, follows Barney and Betty as they enter hypnosis and discover that their fear and lost time was due to an alien abduction. Experience their account in an off-Broadway staged reading of The Interrupted Journey, September 16th at 7 p.m. at Theater for the New City in New York City. A link for the tickets and more information is available in the show notes. Get your tickets now and experience the most documented alien abduction ever recorded.
In 1980, racial tensions in Atlanta, Georgia were at a boiling point. This is also when 28 young African Americans were killed. With virtually no traces of evidence as to who the killer was, the mayor and police commissioner of the city suspected the killer to be white and possibly a member of the Ku Klux Klan. But the newly formed behavioral science unit of the FBI had drawn a different conclusion. Those of you who watched the Netflix series Mindhunter might already be familiar with the Atlanta child murders. This is the story of Wayne Williams. I'm Mike.
I'm Ian.
And I'm Dave. If you thought stranger danger was just a corny saying, stick around. Do you know where your kids are tonight? This is Necronomipod.
For almost 2 years, the bodies have kept coming out of Atlanta's rivers and woods, and week after week, police speak of sorrow and sympathy, but not a solution. At Police Task Force headquarters, there are 27 faces on the wall, 26 murdered, 1 missing. The killer? There is a handful of sketches, no one the same, no one certain to be the person police want. Almost a year after the task force was set up, police can't answer who or why. They don't know how or where or even how many of the black victims may have been killed by the same person. One investigator says even if the killer walked in the door and confessed, there is not enough evidence now to convict him.
All right, so raise your hand if you're sick as fuck. My hand's up.
That's just you, buddy.
That's why I sound like this tonight. So this is what you guys get to listen to for the next 120 minutes or hour and 20 minutes or 90 minutes or until they decide to shut my mic off and say, fuck you, you're done talking.
Might be in 5 minutes because I'm honestly sick of hearing it already.
I'm hurting over here today. We're gonna limp through this one, but here I am. How are you guys this week?
Thanks for coming.
How are you guys?
Doing good.
Yeah?
I'm good.
Yeah.
You guys excited? Patreon launched.
Very cool.
Very exciting.
Yeah. Patreon.com/Necronomipod. Sign up today. It's going live officially for bonus content this Thursday. What is that, the 5th?
Yep.
September 5th, 2019.
Will be the first bonus episode. And to clarify, too, bonus content moving forward is going to be exclusively on Patreon.
100%.
Every Sunday, you're still going to get your free show of Necronomipod. We're still going to give it the same piss and vinegar we give every week. It's still going to be a thorough, hearty rundown of whatever the topic is, but the bonus episodes and the bonus content is going to move over to Patreon. But on top of that, we're going to give it to you more regularly and have it at least 3 times a month. You're going to get a bonus show. So that's, 3 out of 4 weeks, you're going to get at least a bonus show.
With some interactive, call-in shows and such sprinkled in as well.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's not just going to necessarily be the topics. We might do some news stories, thorough news ones, not just quick 20-minute ones. We're going to do at some point, some call-in shows where patrons can call in and tell us their thoughts and maybe share stories, do some trivia stuff, and have a good time. So Patreon is officially launching. We're really excited about it. We hope you guys are into it as well. Patreon.com/Necronomipod. Ian, what are we covering this week on Patreon?
We're going to kick it off with a heavy hitter and do Son of Sam.
Boom.
David Berkowitz.
Boom.
Excellent.
It's a bonus bomb we just dropped on your asses. You have until this Thursday to sign up to catch it.
You don't want to miss that
that's not true.
one.
It's actually not true. You can sign up whenever and still catch it. But
Yeah.
we would just like you to sign up as soon as possible so that you don't miss anything and you can interact with us.
So back episodes will be available
Episodes
when you
will be
join.
available.
Sure.
Yeah. There's going to be a private Discord chat that we're all going to be a part of. And I didn't know what Discord was up until probably about 6-7 months ago when I subscribed as a patron to a podcast, and they set up a Discord, and it's essentially just like a little chat room where all the patrons can go and have like an ongoing chat, and we're going to be a part of it. We'll each have our own accounts, and we can talk with the people and maybe get some ideas for what they want to hear, some shows, some stuff, things like that. Or they can just fucking bust our balls or whatever. They can call Dave old. They can call me a fucking drunk hillbilly. Whatever they want.
All the above statements would be correct.
So have you guys used Discord before? Have you guys used that?
I have a couple times. It should be fun.
Yeah.
You know?
So we'll try it out. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. But everyone will be able to. They'll have an exclusive link to that they can chat with us.
It'll be a community.
We'll have no laughing on today's show. I'm gonna throw up. We'll talk. We'll have some swag to throw out to people at some point, and as well as some discounts to the Necronomipod store, so you can get that Mr. Muggs shirt you've been wanting, or that alien abduction shirt that you've been eyeballing for so long, but have been too fucking cheap to pull the trigger on.
Goddamn.
You can sign up with a 10% discount.
You know what I just thought of when you said swag? The Office, where Michael says stands for stuff we all get.
Swag. That's when he goes to it's like a food show, or like a whatever that show is. The
Office paper convention.
The paper convention. It's not even a food show. It's a fucking paper convention. Stuff we all get. Well, if you're a patron, you'll get some stuff we can all get. And this Thursday, like we said, September 5th, Son of Sam. So we figured we'd start off with a bang and give you something fun to get
lots
going
of bangs with that. What did that guy have? A 44?
The 44 caliber killer.
It's a big gun.
Until he branded himself.
Yeah.
That was my nickname in college.
The 44 caliber killer.
Boom. Slaying all day. Slaying. I need a beer just thinking about it. So what are we talking about today? We had a real feel-good story.
This one is, you picked this one out, Dave.
I did. It's the Wayne Williams Atlanta child murder story.
And so I guess off the top, for those of you who watch the show Mindhunter on Netflix, you probably already understand what this episode's going to be about, at least partially. Yeah, for those of you that don't, Netflix has the show. You guys watch it. Why don't you guys talk about Mindhunter real quick? Just let people know whatever the show's about.
Yeah, they focused on this case for the majority of this whole season.
For season 2, right?
Yeah, for season 2.
Season 1, you got Ed Kemper's in, right?
He's in season 2 as well.
Is he?
He makes another appearance.
So a lot of the serial killers we've covered, or is it just those two thus far?
Well, Son of Sam's in this one, in season 2. And then BTK is a running theme throughout both seasons.
Something we'll cover in the future.
And the end of the last show, the last scene this season.
And so,
nuts.
So Mindhunter...
with BTK.
Mindhunter is not...
such a fucking piece of shit. I hate
so Mindhunter is...
It's not like a documentary, right?
No, it's based on the book written by some of the guys that worked in the FBI...
behavioral science.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. That wrote books about their time and doing the early profiling and coming up with the term serial killer. And they went to prisons and interviewed a lot of those serial killers that we all know.
And that's kind of what we covered on Richard Chase, right? The behavioral science unit, or was that not the same thing?
Well, that guy,
the profiling.
Yeah, that police officer that was in charge of it came up with a profile.
Right. So that's not the same thing, though.
Well, it is kind of
the same kind of science.
But they just went more with the FBI, like nationally with it.
Yeah, and that guy's profile of Richard Chase is still considered, I think they said it was like the gold standard of disorganized.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
And so Mindhunter kind of follows the behavioral science unit of the FBI.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get into the behavioral science unit on today's episode as well.
Yeah, they played a big part in this case.
Yeah, John Douglas, which is the Holden Ford character, he's throughout this whole thing, man. He got himself into some shit. So the Atlanta child murders were a series of murders that were committed between July 1979 and May 1981 in Atlanta, Georgia. Over the 2-year period, at least 28 children, teens, and young adults were killed. This case put the whole city of Atlanta at a boiling point while the police and city officials desperately tried to catch whoever was behind these crimes. And they put curfews in place, among a lot of other drastic things we'll get into later, just to catch the person or persons that was behind this.
And before you ask, yes, I do remember when this was taking place. Fuckers.
We said nothing.
You're getting ready to say something.
I wasn't even alive. I don't even think my parents were dating yet.
Really?
Close. Close.
I don't know what my parents were up to.
I think they were, actually. They were not married, though, as you were.
So there were a ton of politics at play in this situation. It mainly focused around the racial aspect of the case. All the victims were African American, and the African American community in Atlanta were dead set on the KKK being behind the murders.
I would have been too, 100%.
Yeah,
probably rightfully so.
Based on the history of the Klan in that area.
At this time, Atlanta also had its first African American mayor and African American police commissioner. And for most of the investigation, they were against the idea of any suspect other than a white one being responsible. This was also the first high-profile case for the FBI's behavioral science unit to put the work that it had been doing to try and catch the killer or killers using a profile.
So a lot of politics were swirling around this case.
Well, they also were building the biggest airport in the country at the time in Atlanta, so there was a lot of...
Is it still the biggest airport? I think so, isn't it?
It's pretty fucking big.
I don't know. But I know there was a lot of like, hey, we got a lot of people coming in through this airport, and if we go on TV and say that there's a serial killer, or
they might pull out of the project, people might move out of the city, they might lose investments,
right?
Sure.
So because of the long list of victims and how the investigation went down, this episode's gonna be a little different in format than what we normally do for serial murder episodes.
Meaning we can't tell jokes?
No, meaning like
jokes are forbidden on this episode.
Honestly, there's not much to joke about in this story. It's pretty horrific.
But usually we start off with like the childhood of whoever did it. You know, like all that kind of shit.
We get it. He was abused by his parents. He pissed the bed. We got the story.
He killed animals. He lit barns on fire.
There's your generic intro to every serial killer episode. No, we remember the
discounted now.
We disproved the McDonald's triad.
Yeah.
Our friend Danny from Australia. I almost said Danny, California.
But
tributes to the Red
let's
Hot
be
Chili
honest,
Peppers.
that's a colony of convicts from England. So do they really know what they're talking about in Australia?
God damn, pal. Ouch.
We got the Puritans from England over here, and they got all the convicts. I think they got a better deal over there.
So the first victim in this case was 14-year-old Edward Smith. He was last seen on July 21st, 1979 at a skating rink. He was found 8 days later at Misty Lake Drive, and the cause of his death was a .22 caliber shotgun wound to the upper back. On that same day, police found the body of 13-year-old Alfred Evans. He was last seen on July 25th, 1979, walking to a movie theater. His cause of death was listed as undetermined, although there were also reports out there that his cause of death was strangulation.
Undetermined because of decomposition.
I'm assuming
with a
so.
lot of these kids.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Through March of 1980, 4 more children vanished. The first was 14-year-old Milton Harvey. He was last seen on September 4th, 1979. He was going to the bank for his mother riding a yellow bike, and then a week later that bike was found with no sign of Milton. He was found 2 months later in a wooded area, and due to decomposition, his cause of death was listed as undetermined. The second kid in this stretch was 9-year-old Yusuf Bell. He disappeared on October 21st, 1979, and was last seen going to the store to buy chewing tobacco for a neighbor. Which, that's another one of these cases, like, I know we touched on that in Peter Curtin, sending the little girl to go buy cigarettes.
Yeah, we just talked about, what's the point of that?
I get sending your kid to the store, I guess, if, the corner neighborhood store. But once all these murders start taking place, maybe the kind of behavior you curtail and you don't send kids out by themselves any longer?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Maybe not for chewing tobacco. I don't know.
Right.
You could do that when I was a kid, though. Your parents would write you a note to get cigarettes for them. You could take the note to the store and they'd give you cigarettes for your parents.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy how much it's changed. God, now you need like 7 forms of ID just to buy cigarettes or a 12-pack of beer.
Yeah, there was a store that used to sell them to us all the time. Just this like hole in the wall place. Yeah. You just walk in there, any age really, and just buy them. It's good stuff.
I think cigarettes were 80 cents a pack when I started smoking.
Oh boy.
Like 7 now?
$7, $6-7. I don't even know.
Fuck. How many you get in a pack? 20?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
80 cents.
It's an expensive habit.
Awesome.
So a witness said that she saw Yusuf getting into a blue car. His body was found on November 8th, 1979 by a janitor who was looking for somewhere to urinate in an abandoned school building. And his cause of death was strangulation. And he was like back in that school, like in a crawl space almost.
Hidden.
Yeah. In this, in that abandoned building.
Fucking hard was this janitor looking to hide himself to piss?
He was looking.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, he was really searching for a spot to piss, man.
Do we know what kind of strangulation, like ligature marks or just bare hand strangulation?
So there's some stuff out there, and we'll get into it with the trial of Wayne Williams later on. But there's some things that say that you could match a rope to the neck. But then there's other, but I'm 99% sure that never made it into trial because it's inconclusive. Okay. I mean, it's ligature, but they couldn't prove like what it was. The third was a 12-year-old girl named Angel Lanier. She was the first female victim and vanished on March 4th, 1980. She was last seen at a friend's house watching TV, and she was found 6 days later in a wooded area. Her cause of death was strangulation, but she was also stabbed. And there was a different aspect to her murder as well, that she was found with a pair of white women's underwear stuffed in her mouth, like down her throat, and her hands were bound behind her back with electrical tape.
So the underwear were white, or the underwear came from a white woman?
The underwear were white. God damn it.
He's answering me seriously. Sorry. So that's kind of a variation.
Yeah, that's a different one, and that's what. And we'll get to. And at the end, we'll also get into.
But she was the first female too, which is right. So that's interesting that it was just different for her.
Yeah.
So is it a variation, or is it someone taking advantage of these murders to step in and do their own murdering?
Yeah, I think there's
It's a fair question.
Which I think is what is taking place in this case.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
Oh, spoiler alert. Jeez.
Wait till foreshadowing.
What's the foreshadow? Dave thinks there's multiple people. See you next week.
All right, we can cut that out.
So about a year later, the body of 10-year-old Jeffrey Mathis was found in the same area that Angel's was. The thing with Jeffrey Mathis is that he vanished on March 11th, 1980. So one day after the body of Angel Lanier was found, the killer was already back out and abducted another victim. And what's even crazier is that the killer left Jeffrey Mathis's body in the same place as Angel. So this would show just like
he's fucking teasing.
Yeah, if it's the same person. I mean, you would think that this would have had to have been the same person.
Well, I guess
because what are the chances of leaving the body in the same? I don't know.
But wouldn't you would have known where the body was found, right? You're a day later.
Yeah.
So the body was found.
It's possible.
Someone can go, well, I'm going to go just kidnap this kid, and I'm going to ditch their body back in the same place. I mean, that's ballsy.
Yeah,
you got to think that area is
ballsy.
being watched, but it'd be ballsy for the same person to do it too.
Yeah.
Well, because it's like, hey, cops, you have no idea who I am. Look at me. I'm coming back to the same place.
Which
there's nothing you can do about it.
And we see that in almost every story we've covered, right?
Exactly.
These serial killers, they get
have a superiority complex.
Yeah.
Or like, who was it we just talked about that they didn't want someone else getting credit for their, it was Peter Curtin.
Yeah.
He didn't want someone else getting credit for his kill. Like it pissed him off that somebody else might have gotten blamed for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, this just shows a complete disregard for the police.
Oh, 100%.
When Jeffrey vanished, he was going to the store for his mother, and an eyewitness saw him getting into the car with a light-skinned man and a dark-skinned man.
2 people.
Yeah, that's why there's a lot of
I did
different.
the math there when you said a light-skinned man and a dark-skinned man. I figured out there was 2 people in the car.
Yeah.
I'm sick.
Pretty
guys.
good.
I'm sick. My head is so cloudy right now.
So again, you're still sending your kids to the store by themselves. So.
Yeah.
Quit sending your fucking kid to the store by himself.
Like I hear about that in my neighborhood. My kids aren't going to the store by themselves anymore. I don't.
No.
But I guess this is spread out. It's not necessarily in the same neighborhood. I mean, this took place over like the 6 county region around Greater Atlanta. So
Yeah.
Tell you what, when you get to that last cigarette, Dave, you're going to want those kids to go out to get you a new pack. I'm not saying you specifically. I'm saying in general. Parents start looking at that last beer in the 12-pack, that last cigarette. Kids are already out running around.
Right.
Might as well strap 80 cents to them. Hey, go get me a new pack. I'll take my chances.
So the next was 14-year-old Eric Middlebrooks. He vanished on May 18th, 1980. He was last seen riding his bike, and his body was found the next day in the back of in the back garage of a local bar. This bar was next door to the Georgia Department of Offender Rehabilitation, which would be, I think this is 100% taunting from the killer. You could make, like we were talking with the body being dumped in the same spot, that could be somebody else doing it, but this would be 100% taunting.
Here you go, right next door.
Yeah. Eric had multiple stab wounds, and his cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head.
This guy's all over the map here with strangulation, stabbing, blunt force trauma.
If it's the same guy, yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Is it the same guy?
Well, see,
I don't know.
That was foreshadowing.
12-year-old Chris Richardson disappeared on June 9th, 1980, and was last seen walking to a public swimming pool. He was found the following January, and his cause of death was strangulation.
Right, this is a lot of kids at this point already.
Yeah,
it's really building.
We're
up
only
the
halfway
body
through
count
this.
here.
We're only halfway through here.
Yeah.
So then it gets to the next female victim, is 7-year-old Latanya Wilson. She disappeared on June 22nd, 1980, and she would be the last female victim. According to an eyewitness, she was abducted by 2 men, one who was seen crawling through her apartment window, and then the other one crawled through her apartment window and then handed her outside to the other guy that was on the street.
God damn.
Yeah.
Bold.
Her body was found in October of 1980 in a fenced-in area. It sounded like it was like a corner lot type area, like a rundown parking lot kind of thing.
Yeah. Like where they had the furnace party in Philly?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. And by the time she was found, she was just bone, so the cause of death was undetermined.
So it was 4-month elapsed time frame.
That's awfully quick to be just bones, right?
Yeah.
Well,
June to October and you're just bones?
It is very warm down there, though.
Yeah, summertime.
Yeah.
And you're just sitting out in the
It's
sun.
fucking hot in Georgia in the summer.
I guess so. Okay. The 2 men is interesting, though, from a witness.
Yeah.
That's completely different.
Yeah.
Right. And actually taking someone out of their bed, out of their apartment window.
Especially when it seems to be easy pickings on the street.
Yeah.
Why go to this extra?
Right. The only thing that meets the same as the other ones is that she was a black girl and she was 7. She was a kid.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
the only
she's
2
just a
things
child.
that match up with the rest.
Right.
Yeah. And even female, there was only one other girl at this point abducted.
Right.
So
yeah.
It doesn't
that
fit.
one
It
that one
fit.
doesn't fit. That
No.
one doesn't fit.
One day later, on June 23rd, 1980, 10-year-old Aaron Weish disappeared near a local grocery store. He was last seen getting into a blue Chevrolet. So now that's 2 eyewitnesses talking about a blue car.
Yep.
The next day, Aaron's body was found underneath a bridge, and the cause of death was
Asphyxiation.
Sorry.
The next day, Aaron's body was found under a bridge, and the cause of death was The cause of death was asphyxiation due to a broken neck.
Nailed it. There you go.
Took a couple times.
That's fucking brutal.
Yeah.
Broken neck.
Yeah.
You would think that
Under a bridge. So he
potentially
got
he
thrown
was,
off the bridge.
I would lead you to think that that's possible. In July 1980, 2 more children, 9-year-old Anthony Carter and 10-year-old Earl Terrell, were murdered. Anthony's cause of death was multiple stab wounds, and Earl's was strangulation.
What's the count up to at this point? I mean, we're in the 10 plus range at least.
I think we're at like 12 right now.
That is a pretty high body count
And
with little kids.
About halfway through this killing spree. And we're at what, July of 1980.
Between August and November of 1980, 5 more killings took place. It was 13-year-old Clifford Jones, 10-year-old Darren Glass, 12-year-old Charles Stevens, 9-year-old Aaron Jackson, and 16-year-old Patrick Rogers. All of them died from strangulation, except for Darren Glass is considered undetermined. His body was never found, but is considered by law enforcement to be one of the victims related to the case. I mean,
just because he met the profile for a victim?
Yeah, I mean, he's a kid in the age range, African-American
disappeared
kid.
In the same time range.
Yeah.
That whole never being found thing is just, it's even worse.
Yeah.
That's
because you don't have that closure of even knowing.
Yeah, it's just terrible.
And it's got to be terrible for a parent, too, because then you're always thinking, like...
He's going to walk in the door.
Yeah, they could still be out there somewhere or something.
That'd be awful.
The first known victim in 1981 was 14-year-old Luby Jeter. He disappeared on January 3rd, 1981. He was last seen in a shopping center parking lot, and his body was found February 5th in a wooded area. His cause of death was strangulation, and interestingly, his body was found 70 feet away from previous victims that were dumped in the wooded area.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
All they had to do was stake out some of those dumping grounds and, they'd find him coming back later.
Right. 15-year-old Terry Pugh was last seen on January 22nd, 1981. Terry was last seen at, you said it's a Crystals?
Yeah, if that's the Crystals you're talking about. That's essentially the... Crystals is like the White Castle of the South, with the little slider burgers.
Yeah.
Have you had them? Have you had Crystals?
I don't think so.
I think
I've seen them. I mean, I've been through. Yeah, I don't.
Maybe a slight notch better than White Castle in the sense of like not as greasy.
Okay.
Not as quote trashy, but
Okay.
they're. I mean, it's. I will defend White Castle till the day I die. They're fucking awesome.
White Castle's pretty tasty.
Yeah, you just had it recently, and you loved it.
It took me a long time. I had never had White Castle, and goddamn, they're pretty good.
And you've not had it.
Yeah, I've had it.
Oh, you've had it.
I'm just not a big fan of it.
Oh, really? I don't think we've discussed this.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've had it.
Weekly fast food talk. Been doing this for fucking a month now. Okay. Well, that's fine. You don't have to like them. Not everyone's perfect. Their frozen burgers are also, I will take those in a pinch as well. They're not great. Have you had those?
No, I haven't.
The frozen packs you can get from the Target or whatever.
I've bought them, but yeah.
Have you had those?
I have not.
So they're not.
I bought them for
If you don't like them, why were you buying them?
For Michael, not for me.
They're not half.
I'm not
as
eating that
good.
shit.
They're not half as good as the actual burgers.
Oh, of course not.
The actual ones are steamed or however shit they make them. These ones they're frozen. You put them in a microwave in a plastic bag, and then you open them up and it's fucking melting lava cheese. You got to throw on a plate, and then by the time it cools enough for you to bite it, the bun is hard as shit. But if you need that White Castle fix. It does okay.
Because they don't have White Castles by us anymore. They all closed.
Well, I guess we should have stated that. They all fucking closed down. The nearest one's Columbus, and that's 2 hours away. So anyways, Crystals is the White Castle of the South.
And that's
also very good.
And that's where Terry Pugh was last seen. That was near an Omni, which was a hangout for teenagers.
So are we talking about the Omni, the indoor Coliseum in Atlanta?
I believe so.
Where all of the great Georgia Championship wrestling matches used to take place that I used to watch as a young man.
Including but not limited to the first few Starcades.
The Great American Bash.
This was like the Nature Boy Ric Flair hub was the Omni down in Georgia. Yeah.
That was my favorite, Georgia Championship Wrestling.
So do you think the teenagers used to like get Crystals and then just go hang out in the parking lot, and that was just where they hung out?
That's what it sounded like.
I don't know. But was the mall called the Omni too? Like if you remember watching Mindhunter, he was staying at the Omni Hotel in Atlanta, which was attached to a big mall complex.
There's an arcade there and stuff that they.
I'm wondering if it wasn't that. I'm not that familiar with Atlanta, but the Omni seems to be used quite a bit down there.
Because there was an arcade attached as well.
We have a couple Atlanta listeners. Perhaps they will correct us.
But the wrestling Omni was torn down about 20 years ago. But
Which would have still fit the timeline, though. It would have been
Yeah,
perfect
yeah.
at this time. But this, that would have been the Omni would have been a big thing back then at this point.
Yeah.
But so it was determined that Terry Pugh's cause of death was strangulation.
Who was the guy that was found in the crystals outside the Omni? Now that we took the roundabout all the way around.
Right. The next was 11-year-old Patrick Baltazar. He disappeared February 6th, 1981, and was last seen near the Omni as well. His body was found behind an office park, with the cause of death being strangulation. In February 1981, an Atlanta newspaper ran an article that matching fibers were found on 2 of the bodies. And this was a big turning point because going forward, investigators knew that the killer was paying attention to the media because he started to adapt. Bodies started to be dumped into rivers, either nude or just wearing underwear to reduce the risk of there being any fibers or evidence like that to be found.
Where'd the newspaper get that story? Somebody
There was a
leak
lot
it?
of leaks going on through this time. Yeah, there was a lot of leaking going on. Because, I mean, we're just kind of going through this, because that's kind of how you got to do it with the victims, just like boom, boom, boom. But
we don't have a story to tell from a suspect, right?
But the whole town by this point, or the whole city by this point, it's like freaking out. Kids are just popping up, missing and dead.
Yeah. I can't imagine even kids being out by themselves or,
Set them off of those goddamn cigarettes.
This guy must have been a smooth talker to, after this body count that everyone's aware of, to still be able to get people, to get in the car with him or to go with him or
right,
whatever his MO was here.
Now that's some foreshadowing for what we're going to talk about.
The rest of February through May 22nd, 1981, investigators would find the following victims and attribute them to the case. 13-year-old Curtis Walker, 15-year-old Joseph Bell, 13-year-old Timothy Hill, 21-year-old Eddie Duncan, 20-year-old Larry Rogers, 23-year-old Michael McIntosh, 21-year-old Jimmy Ray Payne, 28-year-old John Porter, and 17-year-old William Barrett.
Ooh, Christ on a cross. That's a lot of people.
Yep.
They're a lot older, though, this last group of victims.
Yeah.
Yeah, even up to 28 years old.
The last known victim would be 27-year-old Nathaniel Cater. All of these victims died from strangulation, except for John Porter. He had died from multiple stab wounds.
That is a lot of fucking dead people, man.
Yeah, in just over a 2-year period. We talked about John Douglas a little bit in the beginning. Throughout the majority of this case, John Douglas, which would be the Holden Ford character, and Robert Ressler, the Bill Tench character in Mindhunter. These guys were the founders of the FBI's behavioral science unit. They got involved in the case. And initially, John Douglas was met with resistance from local officials when he said that they should be looking for an African-American male in his mid-20s and not someone involved in the KKK.
Which makes sense to me.
Yeah, because
I can see the resistance, but...
Right. But you're looking for someone that would be able to get these kids to drop their guard and get in the car with them.
And to move around not, unseen in a predominantly black neighborhood.
Right. I like the scene in Mindhunter where they try to go. They're in Baltimore and they try to go and see how that would work. But them being white and going in and trying to
try to pick up kids off the playground. They're like, get the fuck out of here.
The mom leans out the window. Yeah,
because that's exactly what would happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the truth of what it would be.
I guess it makes sense in retrospect. But if you're back at this time and you're having like black kid after black kid after black kid killed and all this racial tension, my first thought's going to be this is a white supremacist.
I completely agree.
With open range on the black community.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
So I understand also, just to play the other side of it.
It's a
when he got
complicated
his
story.
heat for saying that.
Yeah.
It makes sense, I guess, from the behavior science standpoint of it. Like, how are you so easily going to get these people?
Right.
But when you're in the heat of the moment, you're probably thinking, all right, this is the KKK. They're coming out. They're just killing our kids. And that you're already in a racially intense environment.
Right.
So you're looking for every reason to throw jabs at the other side.
Yeah.
When all of your kids are coming up killed, like that's going to be tough.
Yeah, I mean, the KKK was doing all kind of shitty stuff. I mean,
oh yeah.
So it's not far to think that,
Yeah. So then if you're a part of the black community here, and then you see the FBI coming out saying, well, we think it's probably a black man, you're gonna start fucking flipping tables, thinking, how dare you?
Yeah.
Like, we're coming up killed here, and you're gonna go ahead and side with white people around the country who we're already having issues with. You know what I mean?
So once the FBI was officially brought into the investigation, the BSU and several detectives were brought in to work on a profile of the killer. They brought in detectives from all over the country that worked on high-profile serial cases such as Dean Corll and Elmer Henley, John Wayne Gacy, Son of Sam, the Hillside Strangler, the Zebra Killings, and Ted Bundy. So those are some pretty heavy-duty detectives.
Yeah.
Mixed in with
a lot of experience.
Yeah, with the guys from the behavioral science unit.
Son of Sam episode available this Thursday exclusively on Patreon.
Exclusively.
They believed that 23 of the 27 murders they reviewed were committed by the same person. And this was based off of fibers and animal hairs they had that were linking 9 of the victims together. So this is the profile that they came up with.
That the FBI came up with.
In these police detectives they all worked together on this. Mindhunter kind of skipped that over.
Oh, okay.
Mindhunter kind of made it seem like John Douglas and Robert Ressler did all this, but they
wrote the book.
Yeah.
Everyone's the hero of their own.
Yeah, sure.
But
so the police helped them.
Yeah, these guys that had been working those high profile cases, their profile was that these murders were committed by an African American male who was in his 20s, whose method of operation reflected a personality with the need of hands-on activity with the victims before and after death. The killer would have had the ability to travel freely and be a member of the community. There would be no suspicion when he was seen. The victims would have been comfortable with the killer and had no idea that they were in danger. There were never any signs of struggle, which would suggest that the killer was attacking them by surprise. They also suggested the killer might offer drugs or alcohol to the victims to make it easier to catch them off guard to attack. The killer would have had to spend a decent amount of time with each victim from the point of the first interaction until the time he killed them. They believed the killer would have had something that the victims would have wanted, and that way he was able to lure them in. They thought the most probable method was offering the victims an opportunity to do a quick job for money. The killer would have seemed like a role model type of figure to these victims, and the victims would have represented something that the killer saw in himself. The killer would have always presented himself to have a good job or be more well off than he really was to people in the community. The killer probably frequented male prostitutes, but he was not open about his sexual orientation. There would be a high probability that the killer would be known to people in the community to openly hate homosexuals or put off an over-the-top image of being heterosexual.
Can I interject right there for just, why do they assume the homosexuality? Like, what, do we know why they thought that? Was it because the majority of the victims were males?
Yeah,
all even though there was no sign of any sexual abuse or anything?
Yeah, so this happens with other guys too, and like John Wayne Gacy is one. Some of these guys, when they are gay and they really resent the fact that they take it out on other people. Even though,
so there's no sign of sexual abuse, but because it's a lot of men, they're taking it out on other men because they feel these sexual urges.
Men who they maybe perceive to be gay.
Right. Well, and then I know at this time too, unfortunately, there was a lot of kids in this area that were doing male prostitution to make money, and these kids were underage, but they were doing 6
and
that.
7 years old.
Yeah, you're talking about not poverty.
No, I understand.
Impoverished communities. So, and that's when they're saying that the victims would have been something that he saw in himself. I think what they're thinking is that he probably frequented male prostitutes because the killer would be gay, and then see these kids out there doing it and have like this kind of inner struggle with hating himself for what he's doing. And then, I mean, Gary Ridgway was one with the back and forth thing with hating and using, and
yeah, he loved prostitutes. He used them all the time.
yeah, but then he killed them too.
And killed every one of them almost.
Yeah, and I mean, he refused to even talk about it in court. He didn't even admit that he had sex with them until later on.
Right.
So as the killer got away with more murders, he would thrive off making the police feel like he really felt about himself, which would be inept. The killer did not want to ever get caught, and because of the time he spent with victims after death, people who worked in jobs that dealt with dead bodies or those who applied for jobs in funeral homes or similar jobs should be looked at. And I know that they said that was people that might have only worked at one of these places for a week and then got fired or quit. They were saying anybody in the city that had worked with a dead body for any period of time should be looked at.
A long list of people.
Yeah. So, and even with the profile, the investigators were nowhere closer to catching someone. And now that the killer was dumping bodies in the water, they put forth just kind of like a Hail Mary last chance idea that would be extremely expensive to carry out. And if it failed, they would just have to wait for more bodies to turn up until the killer made a mistake.
We'll be right back.
Today's episode of Necronomipod is brought to you by Beardology. There are a lot of imitators out there, but there's only one place I buy my beard oil. Beardology beard oil nourishes your skin and won't leave you with that greasy feel. With over 17 cents available in their extensive product line, I trust my beard to Beardology. You can find Beardology at beardology.co. Use code NECRO15 to receive 15% off your purchase. Beardology. Discover the best way to avoid the shave.
There were two rivers in Atlanta that investigators were concerned with, the South River and the Chattahoochee River. They figured the best way to catching the killer would be to monitor the bridges above these rivers and hope they were there when he threw a body over. Because I went back and was watching some of the news broadcasts from this, and that's what, I mean, they were even publicly saying on the news, it's getting to the point where we're not going to catch him unless he keeps killing.
Yeah.
At this
and
point.
He could have stopped at that point.
And I know there was one quote where they said, they were like, even if somebody walked in and confessed at this point, we don't have enough evidence to even arrest somebody, even if a person walked in and said that they were responsible.
Yeah.
There were 11 bridges that they wanted to monitor, and each one was going to take 5 people. One person at each end of the bridge, and one in the middle of the bridge or below it to watch the water. They also needed 2 people below the bridge to send out nets to try and recover a body if it was thrown over, or whatever was thrown over the body to have, or thrown over the river to have proof.
Like, that's a huge operation
Very
across
big.
Multiple jurisdictions, and that's a big operation there.
And I think, I don't know if we're doing it justice with how the outline is, but just like the state of panic that everybody's in the city is just like, I mean, they had the police had their task force with tons of officers and in the FBI, and then the community also had their own task force going on because they didn't trust the police and they thought the police were just sweeping a lot of it under the rug. So I mean, this whole place was on edge.
A powder keg.
Yeah.
I think they portrayed that pretty good in Mindhunter too.
Yeah.
The back and forth with the...
Yeah.
And that plays out all throughout the season, you guys said? Or is that just a couple episodes?
There's like hints at it.
Second half of the season mostly.
It gets hinted at for the first couple, but then I think like the second half, So this plan to do this would take 165 people from law enforcement to be able to monitor these bridges 24 hours a day. And they were working in 8-hour shifts to relieve each other. So, I mean...
How boring.
You got a guy sitting there for 8 hours watching, just waiting for something. You don't even know if it's going to work.
You don't even have a phone to play solitaire or Angry Birds.
Well, you just have actual cards to play solitaire, I guess. That's it. That's it.
Got you and...
Fucking play tic-tac-toe.
Yeah.
Connect 4. You bring a board game. Eat a hoagie sandwich, and that's your day.
I think they portrayed that on Mindhunter pretty well too, like the being bored and frustrated and just sitting there all night and watching.
Bill Tench smoking, holding out of the car.
Yeah. So after 4 weeks of constant surveillance, they finally caught a break around 2 a.m. on May 22nd, 1981. An officer below one of the bridges heard a splash, and the officers at the top see a white 1970 Chevrolet station wagon that drove onto the bridge, then turned around and drove back off. Officers pulled the car over about a half mile away from the bridge, and the driver that they pulled over turns out to be 23-year-old Wayne Williams, which he fits the profile. An African-American male in his 20s. They asked him where he was going and what he was doing, and he claimed that he was going to meet a potential client because he was a music promoter / talent scout.
It's my old job.
Talent scout?
He said he was going to meet a woman named Cheryl Johnson who was auditioning to be a singer. Wayne said she lived in a nearby town but didn't know the exact address. So this is starting to look pretty... It's already looking weird.
It's not looking good, Wayne.
2 a.m.
Turned around on a bridge. We heard a splash.
Right.
Middle of the night.
2 a.m. You don't know the address this woman lives at, but you're going to audition her to sing.
I'll find
And
her.
did we not say he was driving a Chevy as well?
Yeah.
Wasn't there a blue Chevrolet that was seen with a couple of the victims getting in?
At this time, he was driving a white one, but there's evidence that he had, around the time, he was driving a blue Chevy that resembled a police car. Wayne also gave a phone number for Cheryl, and the police tried it, and it didn't check out. He said that the number 4 in the phone number that was written down could have possibly been a 9, but either way, but trying it both ways, police weren't able to verify that this Cheryl person even existed at all.
Come on, Wayne.
It's like that girl you're dating
Do a
and she
little
lives in
better.
Canada.
Yeah, right.
Oh, you don't know her. She lives in Canada. Her name's Cheryl.
What do we used to say? Oh, I have a girlfriend. She goes to a different school. You don't know her. Bullshit, motherfucker.
Officers noted that Wayne had black gloves and a 24-inch nylon rope sitting on his passenger seat, but neither were taken as evidence. And that's a huge fuck up.
Yeah, a little
Because
bit.
he agreed to let them search the car so they could have taken whatever they wanted, and they did not take that. Whoever that police officer was really fucked up.
Dave, would you let police search your car?
Never. Kids, don't ever, if the police pull you over, they have no right to search your car. Decline their offer to search your car.
I mean, like that rainbow. The more you know. It's brought to you by Dave. Continue, Ian.
But with no body found that night, Wayne was released by the police. They didn't have any reason to keep him there. They kept him for a while and questioned him and really hammered him on what he was doing, but
Yeah, he didn't crack, though.
no, there was nothing to do.
And I think they were a little skittish about their, I don't know that we covered it, but they arrested a couple other people that were not, that really didn't have anything to do with the story or with the killing, so they're a little skittish about
right.
doing that again and looking bad.
Yeah. 2 days later, the nude body of 27-year-old Nathaniel Carter was pulled out of the river. The medical examiner ruled that the cause of death was probably asphyxia, but never specifically said strangulation. Following the profile of the suspect, Wayne gave off the impression that he was smarter than the police and agreed to questioning without a lawyer, and the FBI administered a polygraph test. And Wayne failed this polygraph test 3 times.
Again, children, don't ever talk to police without your lawyer, and don't ever take a polygraph test.
But they're inexcusable in court.
Well, the arrogance on Wayne Williams is intense. To talk
It's like
without
these
a
cops
lawyer.
are dumb motherfuckers. They're never going to get me.
Yeah.
I said inexcusable. They're inadmissible.
You were rolling. I let you go.
I'm sick. I'm a sick man.
What was it, Horrendous?
Well, that actually,
Is that
I
our
like
new-
that
That was
one.
trending.
Yeah, that's our new one.
Horrendous and heinous. When it's that bad, it's horrendous. Also, trapaculate. It's when you drill a hole in someone's fucking skull and you jerk off into it. Trapaculate.
Who did that?
See, this is good trivia on Patreon
Yeah.
where you can go up against me because I have no fucking recollection of who that was. No, I think...
Rock Terrio.
Okay, and so we took that, though, from the trapaculation. No,
The trepanation.
Trepanation.
episode.
See, when we have this trivia call-in, you can easily beat Mike and win a prize.
It won't be difficult. It will be trivia strictly based off of things we've discussed on this show.
And you, as a good fan,
And
will
given
beat
that-
Mike every time.
Yeah, given that I'm shit-faced when we record and I don't listen to our episodes, I'm not going to remember jack shit.
It seems like there was enough, I don't know, circumstantial evidence in the car to hold him at least for a couple days with the splash and the rope and the gloves. And I just feel like, I don't know.
And he fit the description of what they thought.
Yeah. I think that's what you can't hold him on.
Yeah, you couldn't
is
do
that
that.
part of it.
But the fact that the FBI said, here's who we're looking for?
Yeah, but you can't really do that.
Based with,
That's
not
just
just
That's
based
not
on that.
evidence, though.
That's just a profile.
Okay, it's a profile,
Of
but
who
he's
you
got
should
a
be.
rope in his car. He was on the bridge. He turned around. There was a splash.
That's what I mean.
When you put that all together, I think that's enough. If just the fact that he was a young black guy driving over the bridge, I don't think that makes it. You can hold him for that.
It just seems like they should have held him, you know?
I think it's what you said. I think there was things about other people that they had brought in to question
right.
that turned into a media circus. You know, they brought in that one, the one white guy. I can't remember his name, but they questioned him, and he turned out to just be going out there jerking off, looking at
His wife was
magazines.
pregnant.
Yeah.
Speculating
Yeah.
on people.
So maybe they didn't, and maybe the fact that he was a young black guy, and they didn't want to pull him in without being for sure, and
I think
have people
that's
flip
part of
out.
it, yeah, for sure.
So hair and fiber evidence on Nathaniel Cater and Jimmy Ray Payne were consistent with samples from Wayne's home, car, and dog. People who knew Wayne said that at points during the murders he had scratches on his arms, and police assumed that would have been caused by a struggle with the victims. A neighbor also said that on the night Wayne was pulled over on the bridge, he was burning stuff in his backyard of his parents' house at around 5 a.m. that night. So if that's true, you would assume that was the rope and the gloves.
Yeah, it's going up in flames.
Yeah, the shit that the cop forgot.
Another thing, though, when we say consistent, that's not a match. That means, you know, if you kill someone and you have the same carpet as I do in my house, that it would be consistent.
Yeah, I think with I know with his that it was green carpet, I believe. It was a really rare manufacturer.
But it's still not a match, though.
Right, it's consistent.
Yeah.
Well, in all fairness, we're talking about a time before you and I were born. Green carpet might have been the thing back then. We don't know. We don't know what people
Green
did
refrigerators. Bill Tench had a green refrigerator in it, so
then. See? I mean, that's
pink
the thing.
sinks and green
People
refrigerators.
fucking love that shit, man. Greatest generation, my ass.
So, showing further arrogance, Wayne held a press conference outside of his parents' house with the media, and he was announcing his innocence and openly said that he failed 3 polygraph tests.
I feel I'd be remiss if I didn't say this, but PSA, if you're accused of murder, do not hold a press conference in front of your house without your attorney.
Also, don't take a polygraph test. And if you should fail it 3 times, do not say that you failed the polygraph test 3 times.
I feel like that's good advice.
The more you know.
Well, and like
Fucking press conference. So wait, did he call one? Like, you're not putting out a tweet.
they were following him around everywhere. Like the media just wanted to talk to him, so he came out and talked to them all.
Wow. Yeah. And said everything you shouldn't say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he just thought he was smarter than everybody else.
Thought they had nothing on him.
Yeah. Like you were saying, Mike, that polygraph tests are inadmissible in court. But
Well, I said inexcusable.
yeah. But
I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But they're inadmissible.
Yeah.
We've talked about that on the abduction.
oh, every alien abduction has, or
Fire was it Fire in the Sky?
Travis Walton.
Travis
Yeah.
Walton. When they all passed theirs over and over, but they were not going to be used for anything.
yeah.
We touched on how they couldn't use those in court, but also they freaking all except the one guy passed.
Oh,
The wild card didn't pass.
Dallas.
The Craig Sheffer guy in the movie.
Yeah, Dallas. I can't remember his last name.
See,
But he was-
someone's going to get you on trivia
I
on
know.
Patreon.
What was the quote from the story from the one book? quote shifty drifter, I believe, that didn't like to be asked questions. So.
Whenever I hear drifter, I just think of Elias from WWE, who I know you hate, but I love him.
Shifty drifter. Polygraph tests are normally inadmissible in court, but because Wayne decided that he was going to go on camera and publicly say that he failed it 3 times, the results would now be free game in court.
Smart.
Yeah. Not
smart by Wayne.
No,
not great.
Not really.
So, with enough evidence and witness statements, the police arrested Wayne for the murders of Nathaniel Cater and Jimmy Ray Payne on June 21st, 1981.
Why only those two?
Those were the two that they could specifically tie him to. They
were the ones that they had the hair and fiber evidence we talked about.
So they thought he was responsible for all of them, but these are the only two they thought they could prove in court.
Yeah, that they could actually get a conviction for. John Douglas, the FBI profiler, was already under a lot of heat in his role in the profiling, and most of it was unfair. I mean, he was just giving his honest opinion of things. But when Wayne Williams was officially arrested, Douglas told the media that Wayne was quote, looking pretty good for a good percentage of the killings. And the media just ran with this as, the FBI has declared that Wayne Williams is guilty. And this resulted in John Douglas officially being censored by the director of the FBI. He was no longer allowed to speak about this at all. He was done. Which, he has some really good ideas and had really pioneered this stuff, but he kind of would get himself into trouble.
And they wanted them to stay out of the local politics of this.
Yeah, and he wasn't.
Was running his mouth.
Yeah. Jury selection began on December 28th, 1981 and lasted for 6 days. The jury consisted of 9 women and 3 men, among them 8 African Americans and 4 white. The trial officially began January 6, 1982, with Judge Clarence Cooper presiding. The most important evidence against Wayne was the fiber analysis between the victims Jimmy Ray Payne and Nathaniel Cater, and 12 of the other murders in which circumstantial evidence showed numerous links among the crimes. This included witnesses testifying to seeing Wayne with the victims and some witnesses suggesting that he had solicited sexual favors from some of them. So, going back to the male prostitute thing with the kids.
And it's pretty solid evidence.
Yeah. The prosecution's presentation of the case has been criticized to the extent that in some jurisdictions it would have resulted in a mistrial. In particular, 2 separate FBI special agents testified the chances of the victims not having come into contact with Williams was, quote, virtually impossible, based only on the comparative rarity of the fibers found on the victims that seemed to match the suspect's car and home. So you can't.
It just means someone else could have had the same carpet.
Right, yeah, like you were saying, you can't say it's virtually impossible.
I mean, carpet may be rare, but there's still someone else that has it.
Right. Georgia Supreme Court Justice George T. Smith, after reviewing the case, deemed the evidence or lack thereof inadmissible.
Inexcusable.
Yeah. On February 27th, 1982, after 11 hours of deliberation, the jury found Wayne Williams guilty of the 2 murders. He was sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms in Georgia's Hancock State Prison. In an extremely controversial move, police closed all the other murder cases and just attributed them to Wayne. So they only got him for 2, and they just said that it's all him.
Close all those out.
Yeah.
Which all those mothers were not real pleased with that.
No, I mean, you want justice for your kid, and I think
yeah, sure, you want his name officially attached, like this motherfucker's going to jail for killing such and such kid.
And we're going to get into it here that there's a good chance, I mean, not even a good, I think it's a good concrete chance that he's not responsible for all of these.
I think that's right.
Yeah. So in 1986, Spin Magazine ran an article based on a tip that they had received in 1985. The tip came from a neighborhood watch group called the Guardian Angels, because like we were saying, they had these, the community had their own thing set up going around and policing the neighborhoods and whatnot. This group felt that some of these murders were still related to the KKK. So Spin sent a reporter named Barry Cooper, who did the first big report on the crack cocaine epidemic, to go to Atlanta and investigate.
And the crack thing was the CIA bringing in cocaine to the inner cities? That's what that story was, right?
Yeah. The tip was that the Georgia Bureau of Investigation was in a side investigation with the KKK being involved in at least one of the murders that was attributed to Wayne Williams. A lot of the side investigation into the KKK had to do with informants relaying info to police from a guy named Charles Sanders. Charles Sanders was a member of the KKK, and the informant was a guy named B.J. Jones. B.J. was out with Charles Sanders when in a parking lot, one of the boys that was found murdered, Louis Jeter, hit Sanders' car with a go-kart. The go-kart scratched up his truck, and Sanders said, quote, "I'm going to get that black bastard and choke him to death." At the time, B.J. Jones thought Sanders was just running his mouth because he did that a lot. I mean, you could assume...
The Klan guy runs his mouth.
Right, and talks a lot of shit.
Yeah.
But once Louis Jeter went missing, B.J. Jones submitted this to the police. Like, hey, this kid's dead and found strangled, and this asshole just said he was going to choke him to death.
Yeah. Plus, there was a $100,000 reward, too.
What about the thought that we got B.J. Jones as an informant not long after we had Deep Throat as an informant for Nixon? Finding a lot of sexual innuendos with these informants here. Just saying. We had Deep Throat and B.J. Obviously not his real name, right? B.J. Jones? Come on.
Brian James?
No.
No? No, B.J.?
No. I think B.J.
It's a code word?
I think we're going with B.J. Deep Throat. I don't want these informants, man. A lot of cocky names.
So in the Sanders family, there were at least 5 members involved in the KKK.
Oh, they must have been so proud.
Mm-hmm. These people had multiple charges and convictions over the years. Everything from child molestation, murder, assault, battery, and drunk driving. I mean, there were a real good group of people.
Sound like
there.
Swell individuals.
Oh, terrific.
Love to hang out with them.
So interestingly, an eyewitness said she saw Luby get into a car with a tall white man who had a scar on his face. Charles Sanders' father, Carlton, was tall and had a big scar going down the side of his neck. The police wiretapped Charles's phone and have him on record talking about buying guns and grenades, and he was also encouraging other Klan members to start stockpiling weapons. The idea behind Sanders being responsible for some of these murders would be an attempt to start a race war. And there also is evidence of Sanders putting a date on this race war for sometime in 81.
Race war? Is that what Manson wanted to do? Start a race war too?
He prophesized a race war was coming.
Helter Skelter.
Yeah. Charles Sanders and his family passed multiple polygraph tests regarding the murder of Luby Jeter, but it's theorized by the FBI and police that they all knew how to beat the test.
Wonder why they thought that.
They were just
because
straight up fucking criminals.
They've been in trouble so much, they just knew what to say and how to relax.
What do? You put the thumbtack in your shoe?
Something like that.
You stick it in your foot.
On it. Yeah. I've heard that. I don't know if does that work?
I don't know.
We got to get a polygraph test.
I have never been
arrested.
arrested.
Tried it. I've been arrested. I've never been I was not given. I was not fortunate enough to be given a polygraph test. That'd have been a hell of a time.
Yeah, that's a huge no-no. Don't ever do that.
No
polygraph test. Do not.
Call your attorney.
But the investigation into Charles Sanders being responsible stopped once Wayne was convicted, because all the murders were attributed to him, which is unfortunate because I think there is substantial evidence to point towards Charles Sanders or someone around him being responsible for that one.
Sounds like a lovely family.
Yeah.
You know.
In May 2004, about 6 months after becoming DeKalb County Police Chief, Lewis Graham reopened the investigations into the deaths of 5 of the DeKalb County victims. This was Aaron Weish, Curtis Walker, Yusuf Bell, William Barrett, and Patrick Balazar. Louis Graham was one of the original investigators in this case, and he is on record saying that he believes Wayne Williams didn't commit any of the murders.
Well, it's a bold statement.
Yeah.
Any reason that he ever gave why?
Not that I saw, just he didn't think Wayne Williams did any of them.
Damn.
I think it goes back to that there's a lot of feelings involved with this.
Yeah.
You know, all the way around. On June 21st, 2006, the DeKalb County Police dropped its reinvestigation into the Atlanta child murders. After resigning, Louis Graham was replaced by acting chief Nick Marinelli, who said, quote, "We dredged up what we had and nothing is panned out. So until something does or additional evidence comes our way, or there's forensic feedback from existing evidence, we will continue to pursue other cold cases that are within our reach." On January 29th, 2007, attorneys for the state of Georgia agreed to allow DNA testing of the dog hair that was used to help convict Wayne. This decision was a response to a legal filing as part of Wayne's efforts to appeal his conviction and life sentences. Wayne's lawyer, Jack Martin, asked a Fulton County Superior Court judge to allow the DNA tests on canine and human hair and blood, stating the results might help Wayne win a new trial. On June 26, 2007, DNA test results were published, but they had failed to exonerate Wayne. The results were that the hair on the bodies contained the same mitochondrial DNA sequence as Wayne's dog, and that the DNA sequence occurs in only about 1 out of 100 dogs. So that's a little damning.
It's convincing, but it's not proof positive.
It's not like... It's not the smoking gun,
right?
But it's not going to get him a new trial.
No, it is
That's not going to get you a new trial.
No.
Yeah.
You're already locked up, bud. You need some. You need some proving.
Guy next door to me had the same dog.
Yeah, right. 1 out of 100, bud.
Later in 2007, the FBI performed DNA tests on 2 human hairs found on one of the victims. The mitochondrial DNA sequence in the hairs would eliminate 99.5% of persons by not matching their DNA. The mitochondrial DNA sequence in the hairs would eliminate 98% of African American persons by not matching their DNA. So the results of this test matched Wayne's DNA, and he fell in this 2%, because it said it would eliminate 98% of African Americans. He fell into this 2%. So
it did not eliminate.
He still has nothing to prove that he didn't do this.
Right.
So again, not proof positive, but even more convincing than the dog.
Yeah. Still not going to get you a trial.
No. And when you add those two together,
yeah,
you're talking goes even higher.
Yeah, I mean, now you're talking about 1 in 100 dogs, but now you're even talking about 2% of African Americans in the world he's in there with.
Crazier things have happened though. I don't know. Like you see guys in prison and they find like their doppelganger who looks exactly like them. And that was what the eyewitness account saw. I mean,
But we're talking about going for an appeal here. We're not talking about charging him with the crime.
No, you're right.
So, I mean, this guy, he's already been convicted. You don't have to
But he's been convicted on the same evidence that we're talking about.
You don't have to prove at this point that he did it. You have to prove that he didn't do it.
Yeah. Well, fun fact about doppelgangers. There was one time that I was going to Tri-C. And I got stopped. I was talking on my phone. I can't remember who I was talking to, but I was walking to my car and I got stopped by 2 cops. And they were like, "What have you been doing?" I'm like, "Well, let me call you back." And I'm like, they were asking me like what I was up to. And I'm like, "I'm just walking from class to my car, getting ready to go home." And they told me that I fit the description of someone that was like sexually harassing girls, like saying fucked up shit to them. And they were like for real, like on me for a second. I'm like, I have been on my phone. Like you can look at my phone log. Like. I'm not saying anything fucked up to people.
Damn.
Yeah. For a second there, I'm like, am I about to get arrested for claiming this or like saying shitty stuff to girls?
And they were saying it was happening like that night?
No, like that day.
Like that day?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they saw me walking through the parking lot and there's our guy.
You like run your finger under your nose and go, "What'd that bitch say about me?" Just kidding. That wasn't me.
Yeah, it was scary for a second there. I'm like,
yeah, dude, that's crazy.
I didn't say anything to anybody. I'm like, how many other people are out here with hand tattoos and thinking that time I had a big beard and stuff. I'm like, how many people in this fucking place looked like me.
Right.
All tatted up and
Interesting.
yeah.
There's like 4 of you in the city, let alone on that campus on that night.
Yeah, it was very strange. Yeah, I'm like, it was really weird. It was kind of scary. They were all hitting the buttons on their thing, talking. I'm like,
we located them over here.
Sometimes I think they do that just for play. Yeah. Like they're just trying to intimidate you.
Yeah.
10-4.
Like, are you a real cop? 'Cause this is community college.
It's just campus security. Your first sign, they roll up in a golf cart. You should have just left.
You're like, yeah, it's me. I'm looking for a date. I'm going to go now, Rent-A-Cops.
And we'll see you later. What are they going to do? Chase you down in that golf cart? Right. They put the old siren on top of it.
oh, well.
But you know what you didn't do? You didn't call a press conference. You didn't take a polygraph test.
Not smart.
And you didn't start running your mouth. No. You fucking said, I didn't do it, and you went about your business.
I got in my car and never thought of it again until just now. So on May 21st, 2019, Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms and Atlanta Police Chief Erica Shields announced that officials would retest evidence from the murders, which will be gathered by the Atlanta Police Department, Fulton County District Attorney's Office, and the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. In a news conference, Mayor Bottoms said, quote, "It may be there is nothing left to be tested, but I do think history will judge us by our actions, and we will be able to say we tried."
Well, so what became of that?
Nothing so far. It's just kind of still going through.
It was only a couple months ago.
Yeah. FBI profiler John Douglas said that while he believes that Wayne Williams committed many of the murders, he does not think that he committed all of them. And he added that he believes that law enforcement have some ideas of who the other killers are, and he added, quote, "It isn't a single offender, and the truth isn't pleasant."
The fuck does that mean?
God damn, pal.
Yeah.
That's ominous.
I think it's, I would think maybe the Klan. Like there was some type of a multi
thing
going
I think that
on.
makes the most sense. I really do. There's got to be some of that at least.
Just taking advantage of the situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think there's something to that Charles Sanders guy, and I mean that's some crazy coincidence.
He's part of the KKK.
Yeah.
Right? I think absolutely.
Well, it's just
That's
crazy.
something right there.
Yeah.
It's just coincidence that this kid, Luby Jeter, hits his truck and scratches it up with a go-kart, and he says he's going to choke the kid to death, and then
the kid's found choked to death a couple days later.
You know, the interesting thing about Luby Jeter too is he was found. His genitals had been cut off and his feet had been cut off. He was the only one found like that. And the KKK has a history of doing fucked up shit like that to people, like mutilating people.
That's a whole other aspect.
That's extremely interesting.
Yeah.
In the sense of who may or may not have done it.
Yeah. So I'm just going down before we wrap it up. So the unresolved ones would be 14-year-old Edward Smith. He died from the gunshot wound to the upper back. He's no longer considered to be attributed to Wayne Williams. 14-year-old Milton Harvey.
How did all these people get dismissed from Wayne Williams?
It's just evidence over the years and like the circumstances of how they were found. And
does that mean those cases were reopened then?
They're just considered unsolved. Yeah.
Okay.
Just cold cases at this point. 12-year-old Angel Lanier, who was the first female victim. 10-year-old Jeffrey Mathis. 7-year-old LaTanya Wilson, which that one, they should have been able to put that in there from the beginning that was not part of it because
the two guys in the window.
Yeah, it took her out of her bedroom. And then 10-year-old Darren Glass because his body was never found. And I think that's a fair thing to do, not just throw all this shit under Wayne Williams just because it's easy to do.
Yeah. They just want to wrap it up.
I think I agree with John Douglas's opinion that Wayne probably did a lot of them, but I think there's a
I
number.
think that's right.
I 100% agree as well.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of shady shit going on in this one.
I think the two female victims for sure weren't Wayne Williams. I think Luby Jeter wasn't. I think that had something to do with the KKK
I think there's
stuff.
enough evidence to show that, sure.
So yeah, that's the Atlanta child murders.
It's pretty unpleasant.
Yeah, it's interesting. The profile, the whole story is really
all the politics involved.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
And he's still serving 2 life sentences. Where at now? Where is he?
Fulton,
Hancock, Georgia Hancock State Prison.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's where he is.
Yep. Still
Catch him
saying
on
he's
Mindhunter
innocent.
season 2. Catch the story.
Yeah. Just a side note, we talk about Mindhunter. There's a couple of books that those guys, Ressler and Douglas wrote, and the other, what's the other one? The doctor that will also work with them.
Oh yeah.
Really interesting stuff.
Yeah, John Douglas just had a new one come out a couple months ago. It's supposed to be really good. So yeah.
All right. Well, that's the Atlanta child murders. Wayne Williams. Ian, you got anything else on this one? On this story?
Nope.
We wrap it up all right? Dave, you got anything else you want to add to this one?
No, sir.
Pretty fucked up story.
It's not great. I don't love it.
Ian, we got any shout outs?
For iTunes, we have LD Sana, Carolina 25, All Seeing Reads, Cute Stuff, XOXO123, and Mr. Facebook Guy. And then also Amanda from Stitcher. Did not know that you could leave reviews on Stitcher. I just found that out the other day. She's the only one that's left us a review, but yeah.
But she on Stitcher?
On Stitcher,
Oh, she
yes.
found out you could.
No, I found out that people can. I was just randomly looking at it, and I saw...
We've had some people ask recently, I think, about where they can leave reviews. So if you want to leave us a review on Stitcher, go ahead.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody.
What was that one complicated name? XOXO127894.
Is that the one that said Dave was her favorite?
I believe so.
That was a great review. I love that one. Thanks a lot.
You probably paid for that one as well.
I highly concur.
You did for the other people.
Dave's my favorite on the show too.
Yeah. He buys shout outs. Dave, what shout outs do you have
on Instagram? V Lowry and Gross Greta. Thanks for your undying support.
This Thursday, if you're listening to this episode in the week that it drops, this Thursday, September 5th, we are officially launching the first bonus content for Patreon subscribers. It is going to be the Son of Sam episode.
Yeah,
sounds good.
That
to me.
Patreon's cheaper than a fucking pumpkin spice latte, so
it is on that. Absolutely. $5 a month. You're gonna get if you subscribe for $5 a month, you're gonna get 7 episodes of Necronomipod a month.
Yep,
it's a lot.
For the 4 free Sunday bonus show or Sunday regular shows plus 3 bonus shows. Goddamn.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube at Necronomipod. Hit us up there. Send us what you like, what you don't like. We like hearing from you guys. We like talking to you guys. Please subscribe to the Patreon if you so feel inclined. We would love to have you involved, and we're going to give the patrons some more say in what some of the bonus content is as well, so you can kind of pick your own episodes in that, so to speak. So yeah, check us out.
Doesn't one lucky patron every month, aren't we sending Mike out to give him a rim job?
Is that the plan?
I play skin flutes only. It's well documented.
You guys ready for a hold on beer?
Cheers.
Please.